Hello, today is Wednesday, October 7, and since Friday is a teacher work day, we have a normal schedule of classes. And today in science, we're going to talk about variables. And we're going to do that by taking a closer look at our helicopters that we made yesterday. So let's go ahead and get started. If for some reason you didn't make your helicopter or you want to make another one, you can find instructions by watching this video right here. Any kind of paper works. I think he uses a piece of notebook paper, but you can use printer paper, you can use thick cardstock, anything works. All right. Then we're going to go down to Wednesday, and I'd like you to click on the one that says helicopter variable diagram. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what we've learned from looking at this helicopter. And we're going to click on the blue words that say Inquiry Notebook at the bottom here so that this isn't so tiny. And it should pop up with your notebook. If you decorated the cover, awesome. If you didn't, that's okay. Slide 3, again, has a link to the helicopter making so that if you want to look at it there, you can. All right, we're on slide 4. If you're using your spiral notebooks, this is the time to take that out. Okay, identifying helicopter variables. Now that you built a paper helicopter, we're going to brainstorm. What are all the things that you could change about your paper helicopter that might affect how long it takes the helicopter to fall to the ground? These changes you could make to your paper helicopter are variables that could affect how long it takes your helicopter to fall to the ground. Okay, so we start by always, this is actually a diagram that we're going to use a lot in school when we're talking about variables, and we always put in the middle the thing that we're going to be looking at, the thing that we want to see how it changes. And so the question is, how can we change our helicopter so that it affects how slow it falls or how long it takes to fall to the ground? So you can see I put right here how long it takes the helicopter to fall to the ground. And then in the little boxes all the way around the edge, we're going to put in all of our ideas of the different things we could do that could affect or change how fast this thing falls. So the example I gave you was paper thickness. If you use really thin paper versus really thick paper and then some kind of paper in between like this paper from like a copier paper, it probably will affect how fast it falls. Another thing that could change it, and we don't know for sure because we're going to be able to, we could test all these things, is the shape of the wing. So we could go with a wing that is rounded, a wing that is squared off, a wing that is sort of pointed like a little triangle at the end. The size of the clip. So if we started with no paper clip, maybe a small paper clip and a big paper clip, or a hairpin, which is much smaller, having a different size weight on the bottom might make a difference, or clip at the bottom might make a difference on how fast it falls. Let's go ahead and fill in a few more. During class, I'm going to ask for your ideas, and here are some of the ones that came up. The length of the body. So if we made this body longer or shorter, maybe that might change it. The length of a wing. So perhaps making these wings shorter or longer might make a difference. The number of wings. So if we added more wings to this design, if we added like 2 more wings or 3 more wings, maybe that might change it. Let's see here. How fat the body is, so the width of the body. So if we made this body much wider, so if we didn't actually fold these edges and we had one that just was straight down, or if we made it thinner or wider, maybe that might make it. In that same way, maybe making the width of the wings change might make it, might make a difference. So if we made these skinnier or wider, that could possibly do it. So the width of the wings. And there are a lot of other ones, whether there's wind or not. The pitch of the wings was something that came up. So if we have our wings like this versus flat versus 90-degree angle, could that make a difference? And I'm sure there are many others that we might put in there. All right, so these are all variables, and all a variable is something that affects the outcome of a design or the outcome of an experiment. Okay, so let's go ahead and go on to slide 5. So here's our definition of a variable. What are all the things or variables that could affect the following things? So all a variable is something that could affect something else. In other words, cause something to change in some way. So let's go ahead and think, and in class I'm going to ask you to share out some ideas. What are some things that might affect how a plant grows? Some examples might include the amount of water that it receives, you might say the amount of sunlight. Let's see here. What are some other things? The type of soil, like what is in the soil that they use. Maybe how much sun it gets. So the amount of sun, oh, I did already say that. Or the color of light that it's exposed to. All of these could affect how fast or how well our plant grows. The next one is how much, person's energy level. So let's think about that. What are some of the things that could affect your energy level? Some of the things that came up in class included, ooh, this is really tiny. Let's make sure that that's bigger so you guys can see it. The type of food you eat. The amount of sleep you get. So amount of sleep. All these are really tiny. Let's get that changed. Okay. And perhaps how much water you drink. Sometimes time of day. I don't know about you, but I have a lot of energy in the morning when I first wake up. And then about afternoon, just after lunch, my energy slows way down. And then just before dinner, all of a sudden I have a lot more energy again and I feel like getting a lot of stuff done. And then after dinner, I'm just sort of like out of it. I'm done for the day and my energy goes down again and then I'm ready for bed. So time of day might affect it, okay? So all of these are things that could affect something. So in this case, these are variables that could affect how fast the plant grows. All of these are variables that could affect the energy level that a person has, okay? I'd like you to practice this evening with variables. What are some of the things that what are some other variables for other topics that could affect something? And so let's go ahead And once you're done with those notes, and remember, if ever you feel like it's going too fast with these videos, you can just pause it, get your notes done, and then unpause. And at this point, we're going to go back to our This Week in Science, or you can go to modules, also works. And I'm going to go ahead and do it that way too so you can see. And I'm going to click on the one that says identifying variables under Wednesday. So I'm going to Wednesday of this week and identifying variables. And in this formative, I have slides. So you can see here it says what variables could affect each of these things. And here's an example one. So read each scenario and then think about all the things or variables that could affect that scenario. So just like we just did in our notes on page 5, I believe it was, maybe it was 6. We're going to think of all the things that could affect how it hatches. So what are the variables that could affect when the egg will hatch? Could be thickness of the shell, type of animal, temperature of the environment, health of animal inside the egg, time of year, pollution in the area. And then we would submit that question and go on to the next one. What affects the flavor of a pizza? So you're going to go and into your box, you're going to type all of the things that you can think of that might affect the flavor of a pizza. What affects how fast a runner finishes a race? So you might have some ideas about that. So put as many as you can. I'd like at least 3 for each variables for each of these topics. What might affect the attendance of a football game? What affects the number of fish in a lake? And then when you're all done with this assignment, make sure that you click your submit button back in your assignment on Canvas so that I can see that it is completed. Good luck, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.